What is up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a deck profile here for Shinobirds. It's been long awaited. I don't think I've ever done a deck profile on this channel for Shinobirds before, but this deck has been a deck that I've been playing for a very long time now, pretty much when it was released back in Raging Tempest, and because of that I figured it's time I actually did a deck profile for it. So what better way to actually do this on Christmas Day than to actually just put out Shinobirds. And yeah, without further ado, let's just get started. So to begin with monsters, we're going to be playing 3 copies here of Shinobird Peacock. Obviously, it's one of our key components of the deck. However, if it is ritual summon, then you could pretty much just return up to 3 monsters your opponent controls to the hand and special summon any level 4 or lower spirit monster from your hand, ignoring summoning conditions. That's just really good because most of the spirit monsters can't actually be special summoned. Most of them, or almost all of them, have to be normal summoned only, which kind of makes it a restriction. So the fact that we actually have a boss monster that mitigates that particular effect is definitely very amazing. Its secondary effect here is once per turn during the end phase, if it was special summoned this turn, then you return it to your hand, and if you do, you get to special summon 2 tokens, 2 Shinobird tokens, a Wing Beast Wind level 4 1500 attack and defense, which is great because it could help you go for your further link plays, and if they manage to survive, then you could go for a ritual summon next turn again. But you have to keep in mind that every time he is ritual summoned, you just get to bounce back 3 monsters, which is absolutely amazing. Oh, and by the way, that's non-targeting as well, so that means you could potentially get rid of Dragoons. Moving on here, I'm playing 3 copies of Shinobird Peacock. So Baroness is obviously the counter or the antithesis of Shinobird Peacock, for the fact that instead of monsters, when she's actually ritual summoned, she gets to bounce back 3 spell or trap cards your opponent controls to the deck. Again, it is non-targeting, so that's great, but yeah, it's not as great as Shinobird, of course, because of the fact that it bounces back spells and traps, and the problem with that is that this particular format, spells and traps aren't as prevalent. So sometimes I would actually see people play ratios of Shinobird and Shinobird. However, the ratio would be 3 for Shinobird and then 2 copies of Shinobird. However, in this particular version, I kind of wanted to actually play 3 copies of the Shinobird just because it was a good debut for her in this particular deck. However, if you disagree, then feel free to actually remove 1 copy of it and put in whatever you feel would be a more suitable option for you. However, it still does the same thing. It also special summons another spirit monster from your deck this time, ignoring summoning conditions. So as you can see, the second effect of it, or the following effect from that first effect, is definitely quite a benefit compared to Shinobird, because Baron summons from the hand, Baroness summons from the deck, which makes it a bit more versatile in that regard. However, during the end phase, it does the same thing. It bounces back to the hand and it summons out 2 tokens for you, again with the same stats and attributes and everything like that. Of course, being that it's a spirit deck, there's no surprise that we're going to be playing 3 copies here of Amano Iwato. This card is pretty much an amazing card. It can't be special summoned, but no big deal. Your Shinobird and Baroness will both be able to summon this out no problem whatsoever, whether it's in your hand or in your deck. And because of that, monsters cannot activate their effects except for spirit monsters. That's not a problem for you because your whole deck here is spirits anyway, so it's no big deal. However, there is a few exceptions, but we'll get to it when the time comes. However, that being said, only when it's normal summon does it actually bounce to the hand, meaning if it was actually special summoned through Shinobird or Shinobird effects, then it's pretty much going to stay on the field for that entire time. Your opponent's going to have a very difficult time dealing with this. In fact, this card effect actually supersedes Dragoon's effect, or his active effect that is. Of course, we can't forget about Nikitama. Nikitama is essentially your free normal summon for that turn. When you do normal summon the Nikitama, you could do an additional normal summon as well for that turn. So if you wanted to, you could potentially get an additional material for your ritual summons. Otherwise, you could go for an XE summon as well. It works either way, whatever you actually choose here. But with that being said, I also wanted to quickly mention that we are also going to be playing 3 Aratama. Now, unfortunately, I don't actually have Aratama, so I am not playing Pigeon. Don't confuse this as Pigeon. This is meant to be Aratama instead. They both pretty much look the same, except Aratama's orange, but Aratama is basically the searcher of your deck. If you normal summon Aratama, you get to add any spirit monster from your deck to your hand, so there's definitely a certain need for it to actually be in the deck itself. However, until I get it, this is pretty much my proxy. Pigeon itself, I don't recommend for the deck. It's not good in any kind of variant, and I kind of don't really see myself playing it in any other variant. And keep in mind that Shinobirds actually have so many different variants that yeah, it won't be long before I actually show you a different variant of this deck, and it plays so differently as well. But yeah, with that being said, this is pretty much what I have. 3 Nikitama, 3 Aratama. Both came out in Shadow Spectres, I think. No, Aratama came out in Shadow Spectres, and Nikitama came out in, I forgot this set, Legacy of the Valiant, that's it. So very long time ago, and obviously going to be very difficult to attain. To kind of end things off with the spirit monsters, I'm playing 1 copy of Shinobird Crane, just because when it is on the field and then you do like a normal or special summon of any other spirit monster, you just get to draw a card. It's a once per turn effect, so it's not as great. You can't just spam out the effects all the time, but either way, getting that extra draw is quite nice. So if you're actually playing multiple copies of this in the deck itself, keep in mind it's not a hard once per turn. So if you play 3 copies and you somehow had 3 copies on the field, and then you normal or special summoned a ritual monster, another one that is, then you pretty much draw 3 cards, which is actually really insane. So absolutely amazing card. Of course, we can't forget about the Incantations. Any ritual deck that doesn't play Incantations is definitely going to be really weird. There are only few exceptions to that actually can get away without the Incantations, but maybe we'll feature that in the future. For now, we're playing 1 copy of Candle, 1 copy of Talismandra. We're also playing 2 copies here of Pencil Plume and 2 copies here of Bookstone as well. So let me just try and get them on the screen, because I'm going to make quite a bit of an explanation for these and my reasoning as to why I'm playing this particular ratio. The reason why I'm playing the Candle and the Talismandra at 1 each is because of their levels. Their levels aren't particularly the greatest for a ritual summon, because it's a 4 and a 6, so it makes it quite difficult. You could use the Candle with your tokens, but it's not likely that your tokens would actually survive, and as a result it kind of makes it unfavorable in that condition. However, if it does happen, at least you have one of them. His effect also allows you to also special summon more of your incantations from the deck, but in this case it adds a ritual spell from your deck to your hand when it is special summoned. Talismandra does the opposite. When it's special summoned, it adds you a ritual monster from your deck to your hand. And I prefer Pencil Plume and Bookstone for the fact that they actually recover your cards from the graveyard instead of the deck. And I'll actually explain why even further to justify my reasoning for this particular ratio. But the 3 and the 5 also make for a really good combination, as they could easily also go for an 8, which would be your Shinobird and your Shinobird. So they make for good levels, and they also recover from the grave, which I think is more important, or it's better in this scenario than both Talismandra and Candle. Final monster in the deck, we're playing 1 copy here of Chalice Lime. Chalice Lime is just a really good card that just helps get things going. So there's really not much to question it. It's the extender for the Incantations itself, and I kind of like it also being that it's a level 7, which we'll get to the spells now. Alright, so for spell cards, we're playing 3 copies here of Shinobird's Calling. Absolutely mandatory that we play 3 copies of it. I wouldn't play any less. We want the consistency. We also want to just be able to go for our Shinobird and Shinobird, which is obviously going to be very important. I'm also playing 2 copies here of Shinobird Power Spot. Some people just play 1 of these. I play 2 for the fact that sometimes the opponent might destroy one of them. It gives your spirit monsters a boost of actually 500 attack and defense, and it doesn't seem like much, but keep in mind that your Shinobird is 2500 attack, your Shinobird is 3000 attack, so boosting it by 500 could allow it to get over quite a few big monsters out there, or at least match them up. But if a face-up wind monster you control also returns to your hand, and that's easy because this deck is pretty much a spirit deck, and Shinobird and Shinobird also bounces themselves back during the end phase of your turn, then you basically get to add any spirit monster or ritual spell card from your deck to your hand. Each of them can only be used once per turn, so obviously it's a hard once per turn effect, but either way it allows you to add, and it is a continuous spell, so that's why I'm playing 2. I think that once the opponent catches on with this particular effect, they're going to destroy one of them, leaving you with one left over. Next, I'm also playing 1 copy of Incantation Inception. I just think it's that additional card that allows you to extend your ritual plays. Sometimes you might just run out of your Shinobird calling. As a result, the Inception actually helps out. For our searches, we're playing 3 copies here of Pre-Prep, and we're also playing 2 copies here of Preparation. Preparation is actually to search for your Chalice Lime and recover your spell cards from the grave, but Pre-Prep also adds from the hand as well. But given that they both add from the hand, it further justifies my reasoning as to why I chose the ratios, particularly for the Incantation monsters, because of the fact that I would rather you know, they're obviously going to be searching back from the grave. These will be searching from the deck, so there's no reason for me to use Talismandra or Candle to add from the deck when I already have these cards to actually search them out. Instead, I want to be able to recover them from the graveyard, which is why I prioritize using Pencil Plume and Bookstone. For a few great one-offs, we're playing the Monster Reborn, the Caught by the Grave, Mind Control, Upstart Goblin, and one interesting card that a lot of you guys might not expect, but I'm playing a Scapegoat. Scapegoat works well because it can't be tributed for a tribute summon, however it still can be tributed for a ritual summon, so that's okay. And not to mention, it just acts as a nice defense at the end of your opponent's turn, so it's quite nice there. Just to get you resources. Not to mention the fact that they're all level 1s and you get 4 of them, you could kind of adjust them with the Incantations. For example, Talismandra is a level 6, your Chalice Lime is a level 7, so you might be missing 1 or 2 levels. The Scapegoat is the greatest card to actually work well for you in that particular situation, and there are actually other variants of this particular deck where the Scapegoat can become even better of a card in the deck itself. However, we'll get to that next time. For the time being, this is pretty much the final portions of the spell lineup. Finally, for the trap cards, we're only playing 1 card here. We're playing Shinobird Salvation. Salvation is literally the salvation of the deck itself. Basically, if a face-up spirit monster you control returns to your hand while this card is face-up on the field, you could actually just target one of your opponent's cards and destroy it. So it's definitely really nice. It is only a once per turn effect, but either way, it's still a very nice effect as well. Your second effect is if your opponent actually declares an attack, then you could banish 1 spirit monster from your graveyard and negate that attack. But not only that, you could also just end the battle phase as well, which is absolutely amazing. And the fact that this is a continuous trap card makes it all the more worthwhile to play at least 1 copy of it in the deck. However, that pretty much sums it up for the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. Now, given that this particular deck is a ritual deck, the extra deck isn't going to apply as much. However, these are more so toolbox options that allow you to actually extend some of your plays if you actually feel the need to in a desperate situation. So firstly, we're going to be playing 1 copy here of Samorg, Bird of Sovereignty. We're only playing 1 copy because it requires you to have winged beast monsters, and it's really rare for you to happen because we're not necessarily playing a pure version of Shinobirds. As a result, it doesn't come up as often as I had hoped it to. However, if we are playing a more pure version of the Shinobird deck itself, I might add in a 2nd copy. However, with that being said, we're also playing some nice toolbox cards like Cerberus and Phoenix. We're also playing the Ip Masquerina. Ip Masquerina works quite well for the fact that if you actually have your Shinobird tokens on the field, then during your opponent's turn, this and the Shinobird tokens can easily just allow you to go into further link summons. Of course, we can't forget about Greatfly. It's great for wind decks, and we're also playing here an Underclock Taker just because we want to reduce the opponent's monster's attack and go for big attacks with your Shinobaron or Shinobaroness. And you only get that turn anyway because obviously the Shinobaron or Baroness actually bounces itself back up to the hand again. With that being said, on the bouncing theme, we also have here add the Akashic Magician to further, I guess, extend that particular notion where the theme of the deck is all bouncing back. We're also playing here Linkaribo just because of the scapegoats we have. It adds for nice utility. And I'm also playing Vorolo Dragon and also the Crusadia Avramax. Your choice on whatever Link Force you actually want to play. Finally, for a bit of a rank 4 engine, we're going to be playing the 3 copies of Utopia, just a nice package to allow you to go into. And we're also going to be playing a Daigusto Emerald because of the fact that you could actually recycle. It's also a wind monster, which happens to be quite convenient as well. But with that being said, we're going to end things off here with the number 41 Baguska, just a nice card to kind of delay your turns if you actually really need it. But yeah, with that being said, this is pretty much the deck itself. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, then definitely drop a like and also share this unique deck profile as well. Don't forget to comment down your thoughts on the deck itself as well, and subscribe for more videos just like this, or at least to know when the test hand video will actually come out for this. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. I will see you next time.